Hello friends, chosen ones. Welcome to the heart of Sami country here in Sweden. We are in Storulvån. This is the creek, the name of the creek here right behind me. And there's a tourist center here, so it's a very convenient spot for tourists who want to hike and get really out in the wild. And it's not far from where I live, so I thought I would come here because it's a very ancient and very sacred place. So we're gonna talk about that in this transmission. About the deep nature, the ancient places and ancient times. And I had a beautiful sign that I'll get into this morning about that. So my name is Morten, and I have been on the path of consciousness expansion for about 2 decades. And in the last 6-7 weeks, I had a permanent awakening, and I've been integrating it ever since. And my life is totally transforming. And this YouTube channel is sort of the blooming out of this permanent shift that I had. So let's go for a hike, guys. And let's talk about this place because it's very near and dear to my heart. So actually this mountain here, it's called Getryggen, or the goat's back, translated from Swedish directly. And this is a very special mountain. I was here with my family last fall, and this mountain it actually spoke directly to me, and it told me to come back here and to climb it. Okay, so I did that the very next day, and I climbed up to the top with a ton of gear, and I felt like I would stay overnight somewhere, but I didn't know quite where. But as it turned out, I was to stay at the very top of that mountain. Okay, so that was pretty wild, very wild. And it was a very guided experience. We have a helicopter overhead here. As I said, it's a very touristic area, a lot of people. They even have a bigger restaurant and a hotel here. But it's sacred nevertheless. So I was called to go up the mountain, and all along I was talking to Merlin. That's the time when I had just started getting in touch with Merlin, and I mean the lineage of Merlin and Magdalene, that I've been talking about this before, but so they were guiding me, and I was talking to the mountain too, the spirit of the mountain, and they guided me through these ancient lands. So as I was ascending and going higher and higher up this peak, which is quite high, it doesn't look so high from here, but it is quite high, I got lots and lots of downloads, okay? A lot of insights and a lot of memories from the past and so forth. And that relates to fantasy, okay, and to these fictional stories, and and myths, okay. So what I realized in that trip when I slept up there, so as I was getting higher and higher, they're showing me stuff in the landscape and saying, well, there used to be an old city over here, and there used to be something over there. And I'm thinking I'm probably gonna have to climb it again, but with you guys, and kind of take you through it, because it's an amazing place. And there is, when you get up almost to the top, there's a very strong energy vortex up there, that it was so strong that I could actually see it with my eyes. Okay, like just the energy just coming out of there is incredible. And the way you feel up there is very, it's almost like you're in a different dimension altogether. It's very, very trippy and powerful, and also quite serene, I would say. It's very peaceful energy. And what they told me is that there used to be a temple up there, okay? And I mean, this is very, very long ago, and there's no obvious traces or anything. But this is the download I was getting. And I could really feel it, you know, very serene energy. And there are actually sort of several little peaks up there that you can see in the videos that I'm overlaying. And it almost looks like there were like little towers or something. I mean, if you imagine, you know, like it's I don't think any archaeologist is gonna agree with me, but it's not about that. So we're bridging sort of both the ancient history with this reality, but we're also bridging sort of imagination with the stories that we have been told from you know, history and archaeology and science and so forth, which are heavily limited by, you know, peer reviewing and all these things. Like there's so many very, very heavy walls, you know, to get to the truth, because we have so little faith in ourselves. We feel so worthless, you know, so unworthy, and we don't have this psychic abilities, or, you know, now we're remembering that we actually have access to these things. But science is sort of a tool to start believing in things, you know. It actually is, because what science does is, you know, with all this collaboration and peer reviewing and agreeing, you know, it's like a collective agreement. Like all our physics and history and pretty much how this whole world works is an agreement, okay? And that agreement changes over time. And that's why people were more magical in the past, because reality was more magical, okay? Because that was the agreement. And it's very hard for a single person or a small group to go against the whole culture of humanity, because we are sort of in one morphic field, all of us together. And you can't really just go against that unless you're very, very awake, but still you need sort of support to change these sort of fundamental things. And it sort of will happen naturally as more and more of us awaken, that we will become more open-minded and more flexible in our energy and so forth. And that will mean that our reality is really going to change, okay? We're talking about fifth density and so forth, where basically everything is going to be much more changeable and fluid and led by the heart, you know, not by all these robotic slave programs that we're running right now. And so it's a very different reality that we're opening up to. So I'm kind of going ahead of the mainstream matrix here, and I'm showing you guys what's possible, okay? So there's some kind of temple up there, very ancient, and they showed me around the spirits, they showed me around Merlin, was guiding me and so forth, and I've actually been involved with that in a past life, okay? And these whole lands here, you can see these giant mountains all around, and they all have their own voices, by the way. They all have things to tell you and to share, you know. Like when I was questioning them about these things, I was like, but that can't be real, and what about the ice ages and so forth? They were just saying, well, you know, you humans, you live your short lives, but we have been standing here for millions of years. We know the true story, you know? So that's when you can talk to the mountains, you know, and to crystals and all these things. They have so much memory encoded in them, and they can tell you stuff that no one else can, you know. So this used to be sort of a mythical place in a very distant past. Okay, we're talking about many thousands, potentially tens of thousands of years ago. The pyramids that they found in Bosnia, the pyramid of the sun, they have carbon dated that to be 30,000 years old. Okay, and the last thing that happened to them was their tunnels underneath. So those tunnels, they were filled out about 5,000 years ago. Okay, so they've been able to carbon date that as well, I think. So there's been like someone sort of hid those tunnels 5,000 years ago to protect them and to preserve them for us to find today. And that's what they're doing. That's why there's such a huge archaeological site there in Bosnia, because they have to dig out all these tunnels, you know, and they're not making the tunnels are already there, and they're full of ancient technology and wonders and all, you know, like healing, a lot of deep healing properties and so forth. And you know, there's lots you can watch on YouTube. Visoko, V-I-S-O-K-O, Visoko in Bosnia, the pyramids there, if you want to dig into that. And that's a place that I'm definitely going to go to and film and talk about and feel into and explore, because it's amazing and they've already found so much there. Like what I'm looking here is like I'm probably one of the very few who even dares to imagine these things, you know. And I'm not, you know, I'm open to these things being reinterpreted and so forth as we go along, but I really have a strong connection to these spirits and higher beings and so forth, and I really trust their guidance, because it's led me to all the good things that are happening to me, you know. And I know in my heart that it's true what they're saying. So it's very wet here, by the way. Good, I'm wearing sandals. It's kind of nice to have your feet cold. It's very warm today. So yeah, yesterday I made a video about spiritual warfare, and I was telling you that these things are real, okay? Stories, the stories, that what we call fiction, it's all real. In a sense, you know, you might not be able to interact with it right now because you're not conscious enough. You might be so locked into this 3D matrix slavery world, which has been created to keep you down, you know? It's to use you. And there are beings who superficially they benefit from you being a slave, okay? And I mean, this is not so strange to understand or anything. This, you can look into it. I mean, just look at humanity's history, and you'll see tons of stories of slavery everywhere. And today they're a little more difficult to see, but anyone who has had a 9-to-5, you know, you know what I'm talking about. It's still kind of, we call it wage slavery, and we don't take it so seriously, but we should, because it's exactly the same thing. It's just, you know, every age, the slaves who live in that age, they don't consider themselves slaves, okay? That's part of the program, and that's why they remain slaves. It's because they don't realize that they are slaves. You know, it's funny when I see people who are like, what's the best jobs for light workers? Light workers are not supposed to have jobs. We're supposed to be free, okay? We're supposed to be out here or whatever you want to do. I mean, you could be in the matrix too, but what my heart is telling me is that when you really awaken and mature, you're going to leave the matrix and do your own thing. Because when you realize your true power and what you're able to do, you're not going to be hanging around in an office with a boss telling you what to do, you know? Come on, let's evolve. Let's go way beyond that. We're much more capable. So, I made that video yesterday about spiritual warfare, and I started talking about imagination, and I touched on the Hobbit and Lord of the Rings and Tolkien and all this. So basically what they're saying is like this landscape all around me here, it used to be part of that world, okay? So you don't have to believe me or anything. I don't care if you believe me or not. I just want to share this from my heart, you know, because this is my highest passion and excitement right now. And it has been for the last year as I've been moving up here and discovering these places and seeing how ancient they are and feeling into them and so forth. So yeah, and this is the place where they told me basically like dragons were real and all kinds of monsters and demons and stuff used to exist. So there used to be some sort of opening, like a dimensional opening, that eventually it got closed because the purity of the spirits, the majority of the beings living here, they purified this whole land. So that portal got closed finally, you know. But for a very, very long time, it was open, okay? So you had this clash between extreme darkness and extreme light, exactly how you see it in Lord of the Rings or the Hobbit, those kind of stories. And this is where they come from, okay? I'm not saying that the movies are exactly the true story or whatever. They're movies, okay? It might not have looked exactly like that at all. It might have looked quite different, but what Tolkien did is he remembered, okay? He remembered the past. And if you listen to Tolkien, you'll hear that that's kind of what he says, a little bit between the lines, but also it's not so subtle when you pay attention to it. You can quite hear him, how he would get into this very aligned state. He would relax and he would feel into the story and so on. And then it would just come to him like, oh, this is what happened and this is what they said and blah, blah, blah. So I don't know how accurate they are. There's probably lots of overlap and so forth. And again, there are many versions of every story ever told. So they're infinite stories. I mean, every story has infinite variables that exist in infinite different kind of parallel realities. So, yeah. And yeah, this might sound completely insane, and it's okay. I don't want anyone to just believe this, okay? Like, if you feel it in your heart that it's exciting and so forth, then you know, take it for what it is. It's just a guy on YouTube talking to you. You know? Yeah, I'm very conscious and so forth, but you don't know that. You know, and you have to be really careful what people you listen to, what things you follow and so forth. So always confirm it with your own experience. This is the only way to do it, okay? And this is where science falls short, because yes, in some ways it's very practical, and it's, you know, it helps us with a lot of things. You know, I'm not saying science is totally bad, but science needs to be heavily upgraded, okay? Science needs to be much more open-minded and not look so much for consensus, like it's way too much focus on like everyone has to agree and so forth, and that really holds science back. And the fact that there's so much observing what is here. When you observe what's here, you create more of what's here, okay? When you want to bring something new into the world, the way Tesla did, you know, with electricity, he was basically part of creating electricity, okay? Or you could say remembering it. But there are past civilizations which have not gone down our routes of technology, okay? You could go down different routes of technology. There are other kinds of technology that are much more friendly to the earth and so forth than, you know, fossil fuels or whatever. So, and there are, you know, ETs who have discovered, I mean, amazing technologies, which basically makes us look like Stone Age people, you know, or even like ants in an anthill or something, you know, like there's an infinite amount that we could evolve and harmonize and so forth, and we will. That's the reality we are in right now. This is how the things are happening. We're gonna have like free energy, so like free electricity that anyone could generate. Very easily and easily available and accessible. I mean, it's many scientists and so forth have proposed that this is possible, and there's a lot of talk about that. And of course, then the system, it has to refute everything, because it's like, no, we have to agree on everything, and anything new is scary. And also, it's the Matrix, okay? The Matrix don't want us to be free, and free energy is like pretty fundamental to any civilization that really wants to be free as individuals and empowered individuals. We need free energy, you know. Like I could walk here and talk infinitely, but I have batteries I have to charge, you know, and we have internet connections that need to be set up, and you know, there are all these payments that need to happen in between. You know, there's all these complexities that are completely unnecessary if you have free energy and, you know, and you know. An economy that's based on abundance, frequency, and not fear, you know. We're so based in fear still. I mean, it's changing, you know, there's a spectrum and so forth, and it's changing, and our economy is better than it's ever been, bigger than it's ever been, more available than it's ever been, and so forth and so forth. But there's still a lot of room for improvement, okay? And I'm the kind of guy who will always see the next few hundred steps ahead, you know. That's my sort of what I'm built for, you know, like really looking into the future. And I enjoy that. That's really a part of my passion too. And the past, as it turns out. And of course, we always have to base it in here and now, okay? I've talked to other awakened beings and they think I'm like a little crazy for being so much in the past and the future, but it's okay, you know, if you do it in an aligned state and with passion in your heart, then it's all right. But you don't want to do it out of fear or worry or, you know, out of alignment kind of state. So, and I think you can tell from my videos and from my energy that I'm in alignment when I'm talking about these things. But you need to also be in alignment. See, if you're listening to this and you're not feeling good and it doesn't make sense, and if you feel confused, then turn this off, you know, don't worry about it. I'm not here for the views, you know, I'm here for the open heart. That's what I'm here for. Oy, wow, that's a really, that's a thick spider web. It's almost like a fishing line, that was crazy. Okay, I'm just hiking on here. It's very wet, but it's so lovely. There's a lot of shade and trees, and mountains continue. Yeah, there it is. That's the peak where I slipped, right up here. Wow. Mother says welcome to the heart of the Sami lands. So the Sami people are one of the ancient peoples of Sweden, and they've been around for many thousand years, and they're also in Norway and Finland and Russia. They're all over the north. They are the reindeer herders, the reindeer people, and they traditionally lived in teepees, and they would travel around nomadically, more or less. I don't know, they probably had little villages. They have villages now, and they're still very much here, and they're very present, and they feel quite marginalized and so forth. So we have to be respectful of them, but they also have to understand that these lands belong to all of humanity too, you know, like as long as we are respectful. But these are very ancient sites that are very important for us to go back to, because they will help us remember. Okay, there's a lot of things to remember here, and when you are because the energies here are amazing. They're really amazing. I know there are also ET beings around here, ET crafts and so forth. They are around here because the energies are very, very good, you know. There's a lot of nice things about this place. There might even be portals here, I'm not sure. I know there used to be those going into those evil places, you know, that I talked about before, like Lord of the Rings style negativity and so forth, but these days I think it's more higher energy portals, and there are a lot of those all around the world, and ETs will use those for traveling and for all kinds of things. I mean, the downloads, energy downloads, informational, I don't know, but a lot. This Sedona is very known for that as well. There's a lot of ETs in Sedona and Mount Shasta, so California, and all over the place. We have Glastonbury in the UK. This is known with all the crop circles and Stonehenge and all that. There are a lot of these places all over the world. You can search for earth chakras and you'll find a lot about that. So yeah, I totally forgot to tell my story. I have so much to tell, guys. Like, I've been really keeping to myself for the past, you know, at least 8-9 years, but I actually, most of my life, to be honest, you know, like 37, almost 38 years now. I've had these a lot of downloads and stuff, and I haven't really been able to share it. I haven't met anyone a few people who are interested in these things, but it's been really hard to talk about it because I've been so afraid. But as I mentioned in the past video about spiritual warfare, I'm coming out of that now. So what happened this morning, there was a bird, okay? There was a beautiful thrust in Swedish. It's a little brown bird with a white spotted underbelly, and I've seen it around the house. We have a lot of them, and as I've been going around the corner around the house, I see it and it just flies away, you know. But today, as I was waking up, I went out to open the window and I saw it was sitting there on my porch. It was just sitting there, just looking, and I was like, oh, I don't want to scare it. But then I noticed it was just looking straight at me, just blinking. It was just sitting completely still. I'll show you a picture of it. There's a video too. I'll show you that. With my son is there too. So I took my son and I opened the window, and the bird still was just sitting there, very, very calm, just looking at us, just blinking basically. And I didn't really know what to make of it. I was like, oh, wow, this is incredible. You know, I didn't really feel like it was my daughter talking to me. I felt like this was something else. But then it came to me that in the end of the Hobbit movie, the first one, An Unexpected Journey, they finally see the lonely mountain, okay? They see Erebor, and and there's a thrush flying there towards the mountain, and that's the sign that it's time to return to the mountain, right? And it picks up an acorn and it starts knocking on the mountain, tak, 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 tak. And then you see inside, in this pile of gold, there's a dragon, and it wakes up like, you know. So it's basically a call to adventure, but it's also a confirmation, because yesterday in the video I was talking about how these things are real, right? So the thrust, I think that's actually Tolkien coming to me and saying, like, yes, you're onto something, you know, keep going. Share this, you know, share this with everybody, because this is powerful, powerful stuff. Because Tolkien is here too, you see? Anyone who's dead is here. So he's also sending me, yeah, I can see him smirking right now. I can see him. He's really happy to be mentioned, you know, in this context. Oh wow, I can't believe this is my life, guys. But when you're fearless, you know, you say fuck fear. I'm just gonna be myself, you know. I'm just gonna do what's real in my heart, you know. These things start happening. So Tolkien sent me a Thrush this morning. That is pretty incredible. Wow. And when I was on top of the mountain, they were saying like, yeah, if you want to sort of find these ancient worlds, they are out there, okay? But you have to have a very open mind and very sharp eyes, because these worlds are very, very ancient, very, very hidden, but also very, very suppressed. So when we suppress these worlds in our collective consciousness and so forth, like even if it's straight in front of our face, it's really hard to see it, exactly like the Bosnian pyramid, okay? This pyramid is right next to a town, and it looks exactly like a pyramid covered with grass, pretty much, and a few trees. But, you know, when you look at it now, it's like, yeah, of course that's a pyramid, you know? But for many, many, many years, no one thought it was a pyramid. I mean, not publicly anyway. So that shows you like how blind we can be to these really obvious, huge ancient monuments that are right in front of us. So I'm really curious, like, as more and more people come out here to Storulvån and start to explore and with an open mind and with psychic abilities and so forth. I mean, there are people who have much stronger and more developed psychic abilities than me. You know, I'm relatively new to that, even though I'm pretty advanced already. But you know, like when they come here and they feel stuff, like I've seen psychics really like. Really evolved psychics go to the Bosnian pyramids, and the things they share are incredible, you know, they're incredible. So, well, someone got to start, right? So I'm here, I'm starting this. And I don't really care anymore, you know, what anybody thinks. I mean, most people will probably not even see this video because, you know, it's just so far out there. But, you know, some will, and there are a lot of Lord of the Rings fans and so forth that they feel something in their hearts. There's like some magic, some ancient vibration that they're feeling into that's calling them, you know, just like it called me. Like I've watched those movies so many times, and I kind of noticed that they're kind of changing too. So always remember that every movie you see, it has infinite different variations of it, okay? And you can tap into different variations. So you can see a movie, you know, 20 times, and then you see it the 21st time, and because you have changed, your vibration has changed, now there's a little bit of a different line, there's something you never heard before, you know, and you can say, oh, maybe it was there, I just missed it. But if you watch it 20 times, you probably didn't miss it, okay? You probably just changed timelines, you know, you changed dimensions, and now there's a different line, which is more aligned with the reality that you're creating, okay? So this happened to me today or yesterday, where Gandalf and Bilbo, they're coming into Rivendell, okay, in the first Hobbit movie. And Gandalf, or I think Bilbo asks, like, what is this place? What is this? Like, and they're feeling sort of the magic. And Gandalf says, yes, there's magic here. It's very powerful magic. That line, I never heard it before, okay? And it might be you have heard it, you know, but that might be that I have shifted into a reality where you are and where that version of the Hobbit is, where that line exists, okay? So that shows you sort of a timeline shift, and I think that's what happened to me today or yesterday, that I actually shifted into that timeline where that line is. And that hints at Rivendell, you know, the healing place of Elrond, the elves. It's very hidden, okay? It's hidden by magic and nature, you know, by how the land is shaped, and also by magic. So if you get close, you'll sort of be, and you're not supposed to be there, you sort of be tricked to not go in there. And if you're a friend, then you will find the way, you know, you'll be welcomed in by nature and by the magic, sort of. And this is what I'm finding too in my life, like the synchronicities and so forth. When you are consistently in alignment and you're following your passion and so forth, you'll find a lot of these synchronicities everywhere. Just like that thrust that I saw today, the bird. It's incredible, you know. It was just sitting there so still. I mean, you'll see it in the video that I put, but it's just blinking. It wasn't until my son like started waving at it, then it flew away. That was after like 2-3 minutes, just sitting there staring. pretty incredible. So, yes. So I want to invite you guys to be part of this adventure. I think this is maybe one of the main things I'm going to be doing, you know, because I love the hiking format and being out in the wild and talking about things I talk about, but I also love discovering new things and exploring and so forth. And these lands that I'm in right now, they have a lot of different places to go to, and from what I could see from on top of the mountain, there are already some very interesting formations and so forth. Where they told me there used to be cities and so forth that I really want to look into. So yeah, if you're into that kind of stuff, then just subscribe and like, and we'll keep it going. So very exciting and crazy, you know. Very wild, very out there. But I've always been out there inside, you know. It's just I haven't shown it to anybody, but now I just yeah, I'm just becoming myself. So that feels amazing. So yeah, I really wonder what those times were really like and what those stories were really like. But what strikes me is just the level of courage and the level of heart that all these beings, all these heroes in those stories had to have to do the things they do. And I mean, just the amount of courage I have to talk about these things, you know. I mean, imagine them going out against orcs and giant spiders and, you know, who knows what else, but yeah. And I mean, to some degree, you can imagine it, you know, just go back to the medieval times and there were those kind of battles going on and all kinds of things. I mean, in the Roman times and the Greek times, and I mean, we have those stories and we know that a lot of it is real, you know, confirmed real, that no one would really deny. And the world wars and blah, 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 blah. There's a lot. Yeah. And I'm not saying we're going into those times again, and that's not what I want to do. I just want to connect the worlds, okay? I want to connect through our imagination and through our stories. I want to connect consciousness in that way, so that we become more unified and more whole, and also that the future that we create is much more conscious and a much more loving and unified and joyful future, okay? Like, we can explore these things and we can enjoy them like the way you enjoy a movie or something, but maybe in a more real sense, in a more actualized sense. But I'm not talking about like going back to that past, not in the future anyway. I think at some point you can actually start traveling backwards, and if you want to experience those things, I think you can, you know, when we get conscious enough and when we can allow for those things in a safe and you know, in a way that you agree to it and you know what you're agreeing to and so forth. But I think when you die, you can actually choose. You know, you can choose a lot of, there's like infinite possibilities for you. But of course, the soul has a journey, your oversoul has a journey. So I think it's tied into that as well. You can just jump around in the whole multiverse, infinity, you know. There are sort of structures around us, and the more conscious we get, the more we start to glimpse them and to understand them and to integrate them. Because there are loving structures, like God is one of those structures, and you know, the law of attraction is another, and there's a lot of these things that right now anyway we can't really mess with that too much because we're not conscious enough, and we need those structures, okay? Because otherwise we could end up in some really horrific places, you know. And the universe is loving, ultimately it's very loving, and it wants you to be satisfied and fulfilled and so forth, and it will help you to do that. So, and maybe that's also part of this life here, the lives we're living. It's sort of to lay the foundation for wilder adventures later on, you know, in other lifetimes or so forth. Yeah. Wow. Very wet here. Very wild. Yeah, so as you keep going into these places, you want to be aware too that there are those dark energies and so forth. So you want to be really careful about your state of mind and safety and so forth when you do these things, and especially when you work with these kind of higher energies of mountains and energy vortices and so forth, and psychedelics, as I've mentioned. You need to learn gently and slowly how to deal with these things. First of all, you need to deal with your own negativity, but other beings will use your own negativity against you, okay? Because they benefit in different ways. It's complex, okay? But you want to be really careful with all this kind of consciousness work, what I'm talking about. So as long as you're respectful and you're not jumping in too deep too soon, you know, then you're gonna be fine. You're gonna really enjoy it. You'll be a bit scared sometimes, and that's all right. That's part of it. But you know, you don't want to be terrified and horrified, and you know, if you can avoid it, you know, that's better. So there are bears and there are moose and all kinds of animals in these lands, and I have developed such a nice relation with Mother Nature and understanding of Mother Nature and how that all works that I feel extremely comfortable walking around, because I also know that if there are bears around and if there's a chance that I would disturb them, I'm gonna feel it, okay? And sometimes I would even hear, like, I've heard moose a number of times when I get too close to them, they make like a grunt, and then right away, because I'm always like tapped in when I'm in nature, I always very aware, very alert. Like I always tap in and I feel like, okay, what is this? Why is it doing that? You know? And right away I get the guidance from Mother Nature or the nature spirits and so forth, and they tell me like, no, it's okay. It's just saying it's there and don't come any closer, or maybe go the other way. That happened to me once. Like I felt like there might be bears around, and I saw some prints where I was up on a mountain. And I was told just like, don't go up that way, go this way. And I was like, okay, I'll go this way. And so far nothing extreme has happened or anything. And also Sweden is pretty calm, you know. It's a pretty safe country to hike in, because the animals here are mostly very shy of humans, especially bears, you know. Like it's not like in the US where everyone is wearing bear sprays and guns and stuff like that. There's hardly any bear attacks at all, and they're usually related to people hunting bears. So that's kind of understandable that if you're trying to kill them, that they will be upset about that. Or if you shoot them, then and they don't die, you know, then you're can be in big trouble. But if you're just hiking around and they hear you, they will probably just run away, you know. And as it turns out, all this green stuff you see in nature, all the little green stuff, those are like little eyes, okay? And again, don't take my word for it, but this I got this download from Elan. Elan is another citizen of the Essasani, of Bashar's people, and they are close friends, you could say. But I was talking to Elan when I was in the forest, and he explained a lot of things. So one of them was this, that nature is very, very connected. It's very telepathic. Okay, they don't use words, but they use telepathy. So the animals and all the plants, they are like one, in a sense. But I mean, they're also not always connected to everything and seeing everything all the time. You know, it's like with us, we see what's relevant, what's synchronistic, because they're always in alignment, more or less. You know, like or more and more. Animals are very, very much in alignment, and they are sort of spiritual masters in a sense. They don't go so far into the dark like humans do, and that's why they are such a huge support for us. They're balancing energy, balancing our negativity and so forth, but they also replicate our energy a lot. They mimic our energy. So when you're in nature and you have a very serene energy, that's the energy you get back. Or if you go in nature and you're talking on your phone and you're worrying and you're, you know, like working on something, I mean, you gotta be very careful about that, because then you can get in trouble, because you're attracting negativity and you're disturbing sort of the energy of the nature when you do stuff like that. And you could have negative interactions just from being so aloof, you know, disconnected from nature. You have to really take some time when you come into nature and feel into it, and you know, quiet your mind, quiet yourself. And if you do that, you're always going to have a good experience, you know, because nature is here to support you, but it will reflect you a lot. And that's the same thing with psychedelics. It also reflects you a lot. That's why set and setting, so internal set and the external setting, is so important to prepare beforehand when you do psychedelics. because it will reflect you a lot. That's what all these things are really about. It's reflecting your consciousness to you so that you learn things from it. But it's not that simplistic. It's just to give you a sort of a basic understanding of what it does, but it does a lot more than that. Okay, it's very, very, very highly, infinitely intelligent and divine. So nice little breeze coming through. Yeah, these mountains, they have such a presence. It's incredible, and we're surrounded by mountains all around us here, so we're sort of walking with these giants, and I feel the supportive energies all around. It makes it easy for me to talk to and to flow and to just feel what to say, because a lot of these videos that I'm making, I'm allowing the energy to come through as it is. And so a lot of it is what I have to say, you know, but it's also the land speaking and other spirits speaking and God speaking and Tolkien apparently. So like I didn't know it was Tolkien who sent that bird until I told you. So you know, you see, like it's I'm seeing some hoof prints here. It looks like moose or like a big deer. There's a lot of mud, so you can see the prints. That's pretty encouraging. Oh wow, I haven't been to this area before. It looks really lovely. There's a stream down there. It's kind of hard to film. I don't know. Here, maybe you can see now. It's really hard for me to see what I'm doing. I hope you see the stream down there. Either way, some nice shade here. I mean, these lands, they really look like something out of Lord of the Rings. You could definitely film a lot of movies around this area and it would look amazing. So yeah, I look forward to camping out here, and as my son gets older too, like we can be out more and he can hike more. We're gonna explore more, and I look forward to, there might be some of you who wants to come here and explore with me, and I would really love that. That would be incredible. I live quite close to here, a short drive away. So that, you know, especially in the summer, the winter can be really, really harsh here. Obviously, because we're in the far north of Europe. But yeah, winter can still be fun to explore, but you have to stay on the paths, you know, more or less. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think I'm gonna end the video here, guys, and I'll see, there might be another transmission coming through, and then I'll make another video for another day. But for now, I'm gonna take a break and just feel into the landscape. It's getting really interesting here. I feel like I'm walking around in Middle Earth, exploring and talking to spirits, and this is my heaven right here. Love it. All right, thanks for hanging out. If you have any questions or want to share any of your own experience, then write me in the comments. If you want to work with me and one-on-one and have these video calls or audio calls, whatever you prefer, we can do that. Just email me, go to the About page on YouTube and send me an email. And if you want to donate to support this mission and this channel, then there's a link for that in the description below. And I really, really appreciate your support. I'm so happy to get donations now. Like, it's a huge step for me, and even though this channel is quite small and young, it has a huge purpose, and it's really a frequency, guys. That's what it's all about. It's the frequency of this adventure. But because I'm so in alignment and I am permanently awake, then it will flower out and unfold in this beautiful way that it's already happening. And I'm amazed the things that are happening just like today. You know, the unfolding is so beautiful and so precious. So all right, stay tuned for more. Thanks. Bye.